Never thought I'd discover that every smile my neighbor gave me was a lie. But one night, his secret came to light, and my world completely changed. What I found will shake you to your core. I live in a quiet neighborhood in Ohio, the kind where everyone waves when you walk down the street and knows your name. My name is Jessica Miller. I'm 34, married, and I've always been the kind of person to trust people until they give me a reason not to. My neighbor, Daniel Harper, 37, was charming, friendly, and seemed like the perfect person. Everyone in the neighborhood liked him. He had a smile that could light up the entire block, and I believed in it. Until I shouldn't have. It started with small things. Packages arriving at odd hours, mysterious cars parked outside his house late at night. I would see him stepping outside with hurried movements, glancing around nervously. One evening, I noticed a shadowy figure leaving his driveway. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe a delivery, maybe a visitor. But then the pattern started repeating. Melissa, my closest friend since college, came over that weekend. "Jess, you've been staring at your neighbor's house for the past hour," she said, teasing me. I laughed nervously. "I don't know, Mel. It's weird. There's something off." "You think Daniel's hiding something?" she asked. I shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining things." But I wasn't. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. I started keeping a small notebook, jotting down what I saw. Strange visitors, unusual deliveries, lights flicking on and off at odd hours. Every detail seemed meaningless on its own, but together they painted a picture that terrified me. The tension built slowly. Every time I walked past his house, I felt the weight of unknown eyes watching me. I began avoiding casual greetings and waved only when I felt sure no one was watching. That's when I realized my life wasn't just peaceful suburban life anymore. Something dangerous was unfolding, and it was right next door. One night, Daniel's lights stayed on past midnight. I couldn't sleep. I got up, walked to my window, and watched. I saw him entering his garage carrying something large, wrapped in brown paper. My heart raced. I knew then that whatever he was hiding was far more than just late-night work or a hobby. Melissa's voice echoed in my mind. "Be careful. Some secrets are dangerous. Don't get involved." I felt torn. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to live my life without prying. But curiosity, that irresistible curiosity, wouldn't let me. I had to know. And so, with a notebook in hand and my heart pounding, I started piecing together the clues. I watched discreetly, recorded notes, and connected dots that didn't want to be connected. The more I learned, the more horrifying it became. By the end of the first week, I realized something I couldn't ignore. Daniel was not who he seemed. Every gesture, every polite smile, every friendly wave was a lie. I asked myself, do I confront him? Do I involve the authorities? The truth was, I didn't know yet. But one thing was certain, the next night, I would see things I could never unsee. Have you ever trusted someone blindly? Comment below. I want to hear your story. If you want more real-life shocking stories like this, hit like and subscribe. Share this story with someone you care about. It might save them from a hidden danger too. The next evening, I decided to be bolder. I stepped outside, pretending to take a casual walk, all the while keeping my eyes on Daniel's house. The streetlights cast long shadows, and the wind whispered through the trees. I saw a car parked by his driveway, a car I had never seen before. A man stepped out and handed Daniel a briefcase. They exchanged words I couldn't hear, but their body language screamed secrecy. I took a few steps closer, but stayed hidden behind the hedge. My heart was racing, palms sweaty. What could possibly be in that briefcase? Melissa had warned me, but I couldn't stop. Every detail I saw, every strange behavior, added to the urgency. That night, I realized Daniel was living a life I could never have imagined. Something dark, something dangerous. I started noticing subtle patterns. He would leave his house exactly at 2:13 a.m. almost every night. Packages with no labels arrived weekly. Odd phone calls, sometimes multiple in an hour, always ending in hushed tones and nervous glances. It was like he had a life layered behind the one everyone saw. One evening, I decided to casually ask him about it. I smiled and waved when we met by the mailbox. "Hey, Daniel, working late again?" I asked lightly. He paused, his smile faltering for just a moment. Yeah, just some personal stuff," he said, avoiding my gaze. That fleeting hesitation confirmed what I feared. He was hiding something. Melissa noticed my growing obsession. "Jess, you're spending too much time worrying about your neighbor. You could get yourself into trouble." "I know," I admitted, "but I can't ignore it. Something's not right." It wasn't just the deliveries or the odd hours. One night, I noticed him taking photographs of my house. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but I caught him through the corner of my eye. He quickly hid the camera, but the intent was clear. I felt my stomach drop. My life, my family, could be in danger. The fear was growing, but so was my resolve. I needed proof. I started writing down every detail, dates, times, peculiar events. Each entry increased the weight on my shoulders, but I couldn't stop. Then, a breakthrough. One night, I saw Daniel's basement window slightly open. Inside, shadows moved, figures I couldn't identify. Papers were strewn about, objects I couldn't recognize. My heart pounded. I had to see what he was hiding. That was when I realized I was crossing a line. I couldn't just watch from afar anymore. I had to investigate. Every logical thought told me to stop, but instinct screamed louder. You need to know the truth. Melissa's warning echoed again. Some secrets are dangerous, but curiosity, and perhaps a need for justice, overpowered fear. I had to find out what Daniel was hiding before it was too late. The night ended with a silent promise to myself.
Daniel had gone out,
Tomorrow,
leaving his
I would
house
uncover
dimly
his
lit.
secret.
Unaware
Have
of
you
what was
ever
about to
trusted
unfold,
someone blindly?
I crept
Comment
closer,
below. I want to
keeping
hear
to the
your story.
shadows, and found
If you
the
want
basement
more
door
real-life
slightly
shocking
ajar.
stories like this,
My
hit like
heart
and
raced
subscribe.
as I slowly
Share this
descended
story
the
with
steps,
someone you care
each
about.
one
It might save
creaking
them
under
from a
my
hidden
weight.
danger too. Inside, the room was nothing like I expected. Filing cabinets lined the walls, stacked high with folders and envelopes. I saw photographs, some of my family, some of neighbors I knew. Documents detailing bank accounts, property deeds, even emails I never sent. My hands shook as I flipped through them. Every piece of paper confirmed what I had begun to suspect. Daniel was living a double life. I found a hidden safe in the corner, and inside were fake IDs, coded messages, and a ledger detailing financial transactions that didn't make sense. My stomach turned. He was dangerous. The depth of his deception left me breathless. Suddenly, a noise upstairs made me freeze. Footsteps. Someone was coming. I ducked behind a cabinet, holding my breath. The footsteps stopped near the basement door. I couldn't see Daniel, but I could hear him muttering to himself. Everything must stay hidden. No one can know. I realized then that my life was not just at risk emotionally, but physically. Daniel had been meticulous, planning every detail to keep this side of his life secret. The evidence in front of me was enough to ruin him, but if he caught me here, it could ruin me, or worse. I spent hours photographing documents, making sure I had proof. Every shadow, every whisper, every creak of the floor sent shivers down my spine. My mind raced. What was I going to do next? Melissa had said, "Don't get involved," but how could I not? What I found was too dangerous to ignore. I had to act, to protect myself and everyone else who could be affected. The night ended with a sense of urgency that I had never felt before. I had the proof, but the next step would require courage and planning I didn't know if I had. If you want more real-life shocking stories like this, hit like and subscribe. Share this story with someone you care about. It might save them from a hidden danger too. The following days were tense. I had the proof, but I had to be careful. I couldn't rush into anything. Daniel was unpredictable, and I had no idea how far he might go to protect his secret. I contacted the authorities anonymously at first, sending photos of the documents and some of the coded ledgers. But that wasn't enough. I had to be sure everything was in place before taking the final step. I started paying even closer attention to his routines. Every step, every trip, every late-night visitor, I recorded it all. My life had become a constant balancing act between normalcy and investigation. My husband noticed my distracted behavior. "Jess, is everything okay?" he asked one evening. I forced a smile. "Just tired. Work's been a lot," I said, hiding the truth. I couldn't tell anyone, not fully, not yet. Then came the night I dreaded. I was outside my house, scanning Daniel's property when I saw him returning unexpectedly. His presence made my stomach tighten. I ducked behind the hedge, heart pounding. He entered his house, but then paused, as if sensing something. I froze. Had he noticed me watching too closely? Inside, I prepared myself mentally. If he confronted me, I had to stay calm. I couldn't let fear control me. My hands trembled as I clutched the photos and notes I had gathered. Every instinct told me to run, but I knew running wouldn't solve anything. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. Daniel stepped out, seemingly casual, but his eyes were sharp, suspicious. "Jessica," he said, voice cold but calm, "what are you doing out here?" I straightened, forcing a neutral expression. "Just enjoying the night. Why?" He narrowed his eyes. "You've been curious, asking questions, observing." I felt the blood drain from my face, but I held my ground. "People notice things," I said softly. "I just pay attention." He stepped closer. "Some things are better left alone," he warned. I took a deep breath, adrenaline surging. "I don't think so. I think the truth matters, and I'm going to make sure everyone sees it." The tension was suffocating. Every step he took, every word, felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of danger. I knew I had to be clever. I had to stay one step ahead. Over the next hour, we exchanged subtle words, testing each other, circling like predators. He was dangerous, but I had the proof. The documents, the photos, the ledger. It was enough. Finally, Daniel retreated into his house, leaving me trembling but determined. I realized that the next hours would decide everything. My life, my family's safety, and the exposure of his secret depended entirely on what I did next. That night, I called Melissa. "It's happening," I whispered. "I have to do this." She sounded worried. "Just be careful, Jess. Don't let him see you panic. And remember, you're not alone." I hung up, steeling myself. The dawn would bring the confrontation, the exposure, and the reckoning. Every heartbeat reminded me that I was on the edge of something monumental. The next morning, I woke early, mind racing with plans. I contacted the authorities again, giving them precise instructions. I had everything arranged to ensure Daniel couldn't cover his tracks. I watched from my window as he left the house, oblivious to what was coming. My hands shook as I gathered the evidence into a secure folder. Every photo, every document, every note I had collected was in place. When the authorities arrived, I guided them carefully, explaining everything. They were professional, efficient, and determined. I stayed back, heart hammering in my chest, hoping that all my efforts would pay off. Then, the arrest. Daniel was taken into custody, shocked and silent. The secret life that had hidden in plain sight for so long was finally exposed. Relief washed over me, but it was mingled with a deep sense of disbelief. How could someone so close, so familiar, have been living such a dangerous lie? As the officers left with Daniel, I turned to Melissa, who had arrived to support me. "It's over," I said, voice trembling but resolute. "For now," she said softly, "but you did the right thing." I looked at my family, at the life I thought I knew, and realized that trust, vigilance, and courage had saved us. The experience had changed me, sharpened my instincts, and taught me lessons I would never forget. And now, as I share this story with you, I ask you, have you ever trusted someone blindly only to realize that the truth was something unimaginable? Think about it. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to hear more stories like mine, stories that test trust, courage, and the human spirit, don't forget to like and subscribe. Even as life returned to normal, the memory of Daniel's secret lingered, a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. The world is full of hidden lives, of truths lurking in shadows, waiting to be uncovered. I often think back to that night in the basement, the trembling hands, the racing heartbeat, the moment I realized that my neighbor, the man everyone trusted, was living a life that could have destroyed everything I held dear. I shiver at the thought, but I also feel a sense of pride. I faced the danger, I uncovered the truth, and I protected those I love. The story doesn't end with fear. It ends with awareness, vigilance, and courage. Because sometimes the people closest to us hide the darkest secrets, and sometimes it takes one person willing to see the truth to bring justice, safety, and closure. So I leave you with this. Trust your instincts, pay attention to the signs, and never underestimate the power of observation, courage, and persistence, because the truth always finds a way. If you want more real-life shocking stories like this, hit like and subscribe. Share this story with someone you care about. It might save them from a hidden danger too.